So there we go, guys. Thank you for all of those people who are joining in live. Please make the most of the chat. Feel free to ask questions and we'll swing back to it. Hope that you can see me okay. My light actually just died in front of me. And I've been putting kids to bed at this time of night, as have all of you, potentially. So welcome. This is the first time that I'm teaching this topic in this kind of format. So please interact with me, those of you who are live. There is so much depth in what I'm going to endeavor to kind of just touch the top of. So I thought I would try and smash through a bit of context and then a few really helpful things that I have found for myself and a number of other my clients. So hopefully this will be, so thanks for being here. If you have just joined us and you have never met me before, or you are brand new to our collective and you're wondering what this is all about, then you may have walked in the door, or you may be watching this recording back because you newly have a diagnosed child who is potentially on the autism spectrum or ADHD, or you might be an adult who's recently had a diagnosis yourself. This session is pointed towards children specifically, but of course there is a fair amount of overlapping kind of content, but I will talk to the kids' point of view. I just want to say you're really welcome. You're safe here. This is totally a judgment-free zone. I think it can be incredibly overwhelming, and I don't know what the right things to do are. I don't know where to start. I don't know where to continue. I think I've tried everything. My doctor's telling me this. Can be incredibly overwhelming, confusing, a lot of pressure, and then you're struggling to even be in public with your little one, and you just want to stay at home, but then you can't stay at home because that affects your mental health too much. This world is not linear and it's quite complex. So I just wanted to start by saying this is judgment-free zone. I'm going to say a couple of things tonight, which are what we would look at as being best practice. Please don't put any guilt on yourself if these are not things that you're doing, or it's something that you don't have capacity to do at such a time as this. So this is me, Jess. This photo is a few years old, but I love it because this is just wrangling when I only had 2 children, not my third one. In this photo. I'm a wife and I am a mother, boy mum specifically, and I've been an advocate of health and wellness my entire career. I have a pretty strong medical background. I'm a registered nurse. I've been in critical care the majority of my, it's been close to 20 years now, which might show my age a little bit. I'm not going to go into any of my personal background here, but it is fascinating for people to know why I started into natural medicine. And so that was because my son was kind of tapped out on what we were doing from a traditional, even though actually the plants are the most traditional type of medicine, into the modern medicines, that we were really reluctant to get started in using natural solutions, specifically essential oils, and then were really shocked that they worked. And so I kind of kept it to myself. I started studying aromatherapy. I shared with a couple of people that were super close to me. And then 2 years later, I started holistic wellness, and that was in 2017. So I've been in this space with not one foot in both camps. I want to make it clear, and I will continue to say that it's not one or the other. Medicine and natural wellness solutions go hand in hand, and I will never tell somebody to not medicate if you feel like that's what you really need, but I will definitely recommend that you try some other solutions that will potentially be less damaging and with a lot less side effects prior to then stepping up into that. So when it comes to neurodiversity, the distinctions, again, not rigid. I've had people say, oh, yes, such and such, they've got autism, so I know exactly what this person is going through. And I feel like if you've met one child with autism, you've met one child with autism. And I don't mean that from it's a spectrum. I mean that because symptoms will manifest differently. Behaviors can be different on any given moment to any given day. They will certainly present differently in different environments. So I just, again, let's be careful not to judge. And sometimes people are carrying some incredibly heavy loads and it doesn't necessarily look that way because they've learnt how to project that they're coping better than what they actually are. But in terms of a definition, autism, ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorders, or just the attention deficit without the hyperactivity. And then a lot of developmental, also under this actually comes like OCD. They sometimes will put in anxiety and depression into diagnosis when, like if you've been to a pediatrician, for example, and you've seen somebody, you might be getting 1 or 2 or 4 different diagnoses at that point, and they kind of, it's a bit of an umbrella term. But in terms of the problem of what we're looking at from a global perspective, we used to look at autism specifically as these in American statistics in the 1950s was estimated that it was actually 1 in 25,000. Now we are looking at, in Australia, so this is the most recent statistics that were out end of last year. So according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, an estimated 30 to 40% of the population are neurodivergent. This doesn't necessarily mean they have a diagnosis that is ADHD or autism, as we would speak about it. And obviously, the rate of those particular people are also very high in the unemployment stats. Just letting more people jump in the room. So when this is directly, and look, you can see that I've screenshot this from the Autism Australia and ADHD Foundation, because it's interesting to me that even here we're looking at, unless we address the root cause and educate the public and policymakers, both and, pharmaceutical companies will continue to seek medical solutions to treat these disorders and will continue to convince our doctors and policymakers that medication is best. Like I said, I'm not anti-medication, but we don't want to see an increase in this disease in people without actually looking at what is the root cause. So we need to be looking into more research to the trends that can reverse these changes. So we know so much about diet, nutrition, lifestyle factors, and if we're not addressing these, public and policymakers, then we're going to continue to see a greatly reduced abled adult population. I had one mother that I was talking to who was saying, and she's got 3 of 5 children on the spectrum, and all diagnosed and on the NDIS at different ages and stages, that she's like, I'm just trying to raise, adults that will contribute to society. And I was shocked by that, because I was like, okay, the one son that we were talking about at that moment is an incredible individual. And I was like, he will be so much more than just contributing to society. But this is what we're seeing in terms of, this is a huge issue, and I will not talk too much on it because I have a lot of content to get through. But the old saying of prevention is better than cure has never been so relevant. This is probably why I love this topic so much, because there's so much that we can do to actually prevent this happening, but we need to see it on a bigger scale. Most of the research is obviously directed towards medical treatments. The reality is, for autism and ADHD, there's no medical advancements in disease prevention and no medical cures in sight. So this is the other thing, that people get a diagnosis and they're told that's for life, and here's a medication, and therefore that is also for life. So you can imagine, as a parent, if you have, potentially a 4-year-old who has just been told that they need this one medication for the rest of their lives, how that can feel for an adult. So just in statistics, while we're still in that mode, 1 in 25 adults actually have ADHD. and again, it's quite hard to find statistics across different topics. So just bear with me. I'm trying to, label things as they are, as the statistics that I've, collated. 1 in 25. Many of these people are obviously parents, and we know that there is a certain amount of genetics that is potentially involved in this, but we are looking now at anywhere from 1/3 to half of parents with ADHD will have a child with the disorder. If the parent has ADHD, a child has more than 50% chance of having it. So I'm sure you guys all know that are here live at the moment, adults who are just recently getting diagnosis that is potentially coming after they've found out about their children. If an older sibling has it, then a child has more than a 30% chance. So I put this in there because sometimes we talk to just the children and we forget that the already challenging task of parenting is made so much more challenging when you're an adult who's dealing with those sort of symptoms for themselves, which makes the emotional task, again, a greater challenge. So modern health versus traditional and lifestyle medication. So we have a saying that we use a lot, that your life is your medicine. I spelled traditional wrong there. You guys know what I'm talking about though, right? So we have choices, and this is one of the biggest reasons why I continue to invest a lot of time and research and professional energy into this particular space, because people still don't realize how many options they have. Even people that I've worked with closely for a while are like, oh, I wasn't aware. And I forget that you don't know what you don't know, right? So thank you all for being here live, and for those who are watching this back, because if we don't look at root cause, if we don't address things in that threefold mind, body, spirit approach, then we're missing the mark somewhere. I've spent a lot of time working in mental health, and there is certainly a lot of doctors who will be happy to prescribe an antidepressant, but they're not looking at diet or movement or job satisfaction or relational status. So it has to be all three. That makes sense for people, right, with that example. I've said it a lot. I will continue to say it. Your health is your responsibility, and your child's health is your responsibility. There's a whole lot of importance with routine for kids, environmental, toxic, security. So the key areas to focus on when we're looking at neurodivergent children, particularly, focus, reducing anxious feelings.
No, I want ice cream.
Sorry, somebody's asking for ice cream. Would you mind muting yourself? Gut health, regular bowel habits, managing meltdowns, sensory concerns, and a lot of the things like autism specifically is a diagnosis of extremes. So it tends to be one way or the other as an extreme. So you're hypersensitive to, say, like your socks are really annoying you, like the hem inside the sock is so much that you cannot take one more step, and it's incredibly frustrating to your brain and will put people into a full panic mode because their sock is in the wrong spot and they have to deal with it, or that particular fabric is really frustrating. And then potentially the same child will take a massive fall and have a broken bone and will not even cry. So it's the extremes of what's going on here. So this is why injury management is actually such a big topic here. The number one reason why autistic children die is actually from drowning. A lot of autistic children drown. They have a high absconding risk, and their safety things just don't fire. They obviously can't manage instructions the way that neurotypical children can as well. Aggression, depressive mood states. So one of the things that we can focus on here, reducing toxic load, improving motivation, and sedation from a hyperactivity perspective. So your home is an ecosystem. So we can't change the entire world all in one go, but we can definitely change what's going on in our homes. And if you go for the majority always in health, I love the old 80-20 rule with things. And if you have an amazing diet 80% of the time, then 20% of the time you can let that down a little bit. If you're in your home, as most children are in their home the majority of the time, and you change that environment, you're going to be able to impact them significantly in their health. predominantly because most children sleep at home every night, and that's a lot of their hours. For some kids, they're at home 15 plus 20 hours a day. The goal for health is always safety. First, doing no harm. I'll fight you on that. And then security, being seen, feeling comforted. Baseline needs. My psych background would lead me to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So if you look at this from a neurodivergent perspective, the hierarchy works from the bottom upwards, the needs being physiological, safety, love, belonging, warmth, food, rest, those security needs in those bottom two categories. Then going up to self-esteem and then to self-actualization. So can you see if you don't have food, shelter, kind of things, when I was taught it back in the day, I was like, okay, right, so I literally need shelter from the elements, I need food, I need water. That's the bottom platform. And then from that, do I feel safe? Can I manage my cortisol levels? Will my body be okay? So when you're looking at neurodivergent, if you're often feeling unsafe, then you can't reach your full potential. Look how many other gaps you need to jump up. If you don't feel like you're belonging and you're constantly second guessing the way everybody feels about you, or if you don't have any friends, then you're not going to then go into that next level. So you can see how so many people just end up being unemployed or are not reaching their potential in their career because they haven't fulfilled the bottom needs first. So this isn't talking about human optimization and what motivates us to be able to move to this. So this is a bit of an adult chat, but if we think about it from a child's needs, it's sometimes really helpful to remind ourselves what we have to come back to. So bottom of the scale, food. Now this is huge, and I could do an entire session on this. Look, the Western style diet basically is so nutrient poor, is so high in additives, preservatives, and colors and other chemicals, that actually a long time ago, the European Union mandated to put warnings on food containing some of these harmful ingredients. These warnings read like, this food may have adverse effect on activity and attention for children, like a warning to the parents of these children who are reading the labels, because we talk about label reading in our community. A warning, probably don't give this particular product, and it's required. This is not the case in America or Australia. There are no actions in place from a safety support perspective. We are told that, even the fact that there's a health food aisle in the supermarket, like, what's the rest of the food? Food should be for helping our bodies thrive, and not just for that moment on your lips where it might make you feel good. So we're so nutrient deficient in our soils that even our fruit and vegetables are substandard to what they used to be. So interesting study here with adolescent boys being treated for ADHD with stimulant medications have dose-dependent reduction when you're looking at their lifestyles being triggered with nutritional and environmental factors. So then followed by behavioral treatment, which we know is incredibly effective. So I'm not talking about therapies and treatment options for children tonight. We're talking about those things that mums most commonly ask me about. So children might need vitamin and mineral supplementations and have long been prescribed these. It's something that I'm often surprised with when people have got a diagnosis from a pediatrician and yet they haven't gotten their children's diet assessed. And I don't mean assessed like, hey, do you think you feed your child well? I mean, some people really need you to look through what it is that you're feeding them on the daily basis. And again, I would prefer to get things from actual food, but there is potentially a need to supplement into specific areas, which is necessary for adults and children with ASD. The improvements include not just sleep, but eye contact, behavior. Depression has been reduced, and that's just in a study with cod liver oil. So it's got rich in vitamins D and A. You aren't just what you eat, you are what you absorb. So your gut being your second brain, bowel and gut dysfunction is very, very common. This is something that I talk to plenty of parents about who, and look, even just with children that have attachment issues or are feeling anxious or have actual anxiety that they're dealing with, it often manifests in the bowel. And they will be loose. Predominantly in children, we see constipation and chronic constipation. Now, this is such a dangerous thing because you literally are not removing toxins from their bodies. Children don't sweat like adults do, and the major detoxification pathway is actually for them to be having healthy bowel motions. This is a huge issue in this particular group of individuals because they tend to forget to drink enough water. Movement isn't such an issue, particularly with the hyperactivity. They move around a lot. You want them in padded rooms, bouncing off the walls for periods of time. And so they will move a lot, but they don't remember to drink so much. And the diet is the major factor here. They can be incredibly picky eaters, and parents aren't empowered to know which foods should be in there as a priority and which extra nutrients can be snuck in. This also results with blood sugar spikes and dumps, and you'll see major behavioral things. They get hungry, they get more angry, they will forget to eat or be given food, refuse it, and then be more hungry later. When you're not fed the correct amounts of protein and fiber, you will just go for a packet of biscuits that's covered in something because that tastes good. It's actually not fulfilling your body's need for fuel. Stomach pain, food preferences, avoidance. Okay, so this is such a huge issue. Just quickly on the pillars of metabolic health, a lot in our community we talk about metabolic health. So healthy eating, and again, I could do a whole session just on diet, and I'm trying not to. Daily movement, healthy connections, stress management, and smart supplementations are our pillars for metabolic health. So we need this in our kiddos, not just in adults as well. So omegas are really, really important. A lot of children won't take supplements. Cod liver oil is a good one, but I have a lot of clients who can't get children to take something off a spoon, or they get spat back in their face. So sneaking actual whole foods into things, finding things that they do like. High protein is one that tends to get missed a lot. Like, it's fine if you don't want your rice, but you need to eat your chicken. Little things like that are helpful. Animal foods, you can't miss it in this group. I get very concerned with vegetarian or probably the vegan diet for children that are in this category and growing, and adults even. The fatty fishes are the best: sardines, mackerel, salmon, avocado, seeds are really good. You want to be making sure iron, zinc, magnesium. Now, magnesium is a great one to be able to use in this category because you can get spray magnesium, and that will help for a lot of children, and having variety. So again, I've put here increasing hydration and improving elimination as a point. Now, this one is massive. On all the research that I've been doing in preparation for this specific presentation, it kept coming up as possible reason for the diagnosis in the first place: heavy metals in utero or early age, pregnant women not being supplemented correctly, high toxic load. So this stands true for everything that I teach in this in holistic wellness. Is all dis-ease comes from increase in toxins and decrease in nutrition, which is why these 2 points is super important. Reducing your toxic load is actually something that is incredibly simple. A number of the girls in our community talk to this much better than I do myself. But looking at your food intake, so some of the toxins that are sprayed on fruit and vegetables, for example, parents will often think that they're doing the best thing by giving their child something like bananas, guys, has great skin on it, really low in the dirty. Have a look at the clean 15 and the dirty dozen. There's probably different numbers now for it. Bananas are incredible, actually, and they're great fruit for neurodiverse. adults and children. But washing your fruit and vegetables to take off all the extra chemicals, filtering water, potentially filtering your air. And again, this is a cost point, so a lot of people won't have home air filters, but if it's something that you're interested in doing, then I can make some recommendations for that. Simple ones are cleaning products. And I don't mean just cleaning your bench tops, also dishes, fabrics, your environment being clean. So reducing mold, wherever you can be reducing the toxic load, particularly of little people, you will see behavioral improvements. I'm constantly shocked at how many people think, well, he doesn't really want to eat anything except for that bag of orange colored triangle chips and the strawberry milk from the school cafeteria. And I'm like, okay, all of the things that are in that are going to be increasing those behaviors, and his poor little brain has got nothing to settle on and nothing to feed on. And I'm saying he a lot because a lot of the people that I've worked with, and it's obviously not just a gender thing. And also the emotional toxins. So this is not just getting people away from cigarette smoke. This is screens and toxic people and potentially toxic places. And you'll find parents of neurodiverse children have to learn to say, we can't go there. This is not a safe environment for us. We can only be here for a limited amount of time because the overstimulation in places. But safety is our first thing with health. This is a huge issue. More tthan half the children with ASD will struggle with sleep. If they're medicated, then that statistic rises even more because, interestingly enough, some of the hyperactivity medications have a side effect of hyperactivity and not settling down and not being able to sleep, right? Makes sense. Irregular circadian rhythm, so never fully settling down. And then, of course, hyperactivity. Melatonin is a supplement that aids in the sleep-wake regulation. It's found naturally in your body. Just because it's natural doesn't mean that it's, go to town without knowing what you're doing. It does require a prescription, I'm pretty sure, as a liquid dose for most people. And I say liquid because children will tend to deal with that better, and you can give it as a sublingual dose. Mushrooms are another one that can be helpful in this point of view. Obviously, aromatherapy is huge in this category as well. Routines, predicted outcomes, and I've put in brackets for them, not you, because every parent that I know that's looking at this is like, well, we do all the things and then they don't go to sleep. So a lot of people that I know will spend 2 hours every night to get through a nighttime routine. So the goal is to shorten that for people. So 2 books, then bed, hot bath, Epsom salts with some essential oils in there, lavender, balance, whatever you gravitate towards. Shinrin Yoku is a great one to add there. Balance, specifically. Balance is great essential oil, particularly with children. And you can use it as a moisturizer, pop it down their spines, get that therapeutic touch in the evenings, and you'll find that they'll settle so much better because they're looking for that feedback constantly. Again, weighted toys, feedback, textures, light, sound, massage. Some kids will need to settle with a cat or a dog. So pets, part of it's the predictability, and then part of it is touching through all those sensory points. So I've had psychologists that I've worked with be like, they're not eating their food properly, so they're looking for that, they're not putting it in their mouth, they're just playing with it. So give them some kinetic sand or something to play with. Like there's so many different solutions. Like I said, I don't want to talk for 5 hours tonight, guys. There's so many things. Immune and skin support. So many injuries, so many falling overs, knocked heads. There's an issue here with visual spatial awareness, so they will knock into things more constantly. They're also looking for that feedback. So I've had clients that will constantly have children that'll be, and not just these glass louvers, these ones are new, but children climbing up them from a danger point of view, but actually like security screen doors, smashing them, banging heads against them, like wound care there. The other thing from a parent perspective is being able to reduce all of those things from an immune perspective, again, because gut health is quite low. Diet isn't necessarily amazing. They tend to get more colds and flus and air infections and those kind of sicknesses more often, which is where the power play comes into being able to use essential oils, because all of the neurodiverse children that I've been able to be privileged to work with have been able to absorb that through their skin without having to take a tablet, without having to be frustrated by the smell of it, will often feel empowered to carry something around. The parents are empowered because they're able to put something on their children before they're going into high germy zones like daycares and schools. And I'm talking to this specific age group. I will do more later on other things. A lot of these children can't wear Band-Aids. So the sensory thing again, so they might get big injuries, or the other thing, which is devastating to me as a nurse, is they can't manage ice. So if you go to a child who's having a proper meltdown and you know that there's an egg that's swelling up on their head, but the ice is worse for them from a sensory perspective, things like helichrysum, stronger essential oil, being able to have those oils on hand so that you can physically treat what's going on, reduce swelling, speed up the healing process, be able to have wounds that are managed so that there's no infection risk. Huge point here for parents who are dealing with this. If you don't already have essential oils in your home, I would love you to do that this evening or when you're watching this back. There are so many points here that are really, really important. Nature was our first medicine, first remedy to lift the mind, renew the body, and heal the heart. So this is not something that is new. Reducing stress. Of course, people with ADHD and autism have noted higher levels of cortisol as a baseline. Also, when you're thinking about something, you don't actually have to be in a stressful situation. Your brain can go there quickly without you, or it can be induced with food or light, or any of the senses can be stressed much faster. So they do have an increased amount of cortisol present in their bodies. Now, cortisol is not all bad, but when it's at unsafe high levels, it does look like chronic stress, and then the long-term health implications of that basically come down to dying young and not so well. Did I say that badly? Nature's nature's healing power. So being out in the great outdoors is one of the best things for reducing stress. Get in the ocean is amazing. The water is medicine in itself from a mineral perspective. The silica that's in the sand, get their shoes off, get them on the earth, on terra firma, ground, grass, rocks, mud, sand. All of this is really, really helpful for grounding and shifting out negative energy, both for adults and for children. Looking at the amount of outdoor time. You'll see this in adults too. Oh, I'm not feeling very good about myself. I'm not having, okay, well, have you been outside? Have you drunk any water? When was the last time you moved your body? Like, check these basic things, guys. So forest bathing is amazing practice. The term Shinrin-yoku is Japanese for forest bathing, and there is a protocol with breath and with being in nature. But you will find that a lot of the health benefits from forest bathing are due to basically the chemicals that are released from the plants and the trees around you, so that the practice of actually breathing those things in is accentuated more than if you were in a yoga studio or on a rubber mat or at home on carpet or ground. You're not getting the same sensory input, so you're not getting the same effect at all. So some of these chemicals, limonene, alpha-pinene, beta-pinene, linalool, those essential oil people will be very familiar with all of those. Why aromatherapy? Okay, so again, safer, so much safer, and you're getting side benefits rather than side effects. So I've said it before, I'll keep saying it, I'm not against pharmaceuticals, but start here first and you'll find that you will, reduce or eliminate completely, particularly with children. Because children tend to, from an emergency medicine perspective, they crash super fast, but they pick up really fast. So the fun thing with neurodiverse children is that you will actually get amazing results quite quickly with the right things that we're dealing with. Okay, effective, proven results. This is not just a fad. It's not a new thing. simple. They're on hand. You've got them. You can grab things right next to you for yourself, your children when they're a little bit older, or, you know, age appropriate, safety appropriate. They can use them themselves. So they're really empowering for kids to be able to even just carry a bottle around with them, or rollers. I prefer rollers for children, definitely. Fast acting, and then moment by moment support. So a positive impact on brain chemistry. With this particular blend, I was actually just holding it then. Shinrin Yoku, we just mentioned forest bathing before. So this is actually a blend of 11 essential oils: lemon, magnolia, patchouli, cardamom, Siberian fir, hinoki, cypress, lavender, pink grapefruit, geranium, and petitgrain. So these have got those chemical constitutes that we talked about on the other screen. Your linalool, beta-pinene. Magnolia has like 70 times the linalool that what lavender does. So you think about all the soothing, calming, grounding effects. The research around this particular blend is that you could spend 5 hours in a forest with the forest bathing type principles, or you could diffuse this for 8 hours overnight, and you would see the same reduction in cortisol levels. So this is why this comes into play. So yes, we would all love to live outside all of the time, and it's not possible, particularly for people who live in cities and don't have such an outdoor lifestyle. But people who just, like, we have so many things going on in our lives. It's amazing to be able to grab an essential oil for the parent or for the child, because you really want them to be entering your calm rather than you going into their crazy. The care for parents needs to be superb, so that these children can be looked after really well. Emotional support with essential oils is probably my favorite quick win for people. Don't ever dismiss what the right essential oil blend can do for you on your worst day. And I say that hand on heart. I've seen it time and time again with people. Focus, attachment, anxious, low feelings. Again, moment by moment support. So this is not just about improving happiness. This is about being empowered to live the kind of life that you want to and not be trapped in your symptoms or your diagnosis. If you're nervous about using essential oils on children, safety is important. First, do no harm. Start with just diffusing them if you don't feel comfortable using them topically. We have so much support in our community. Cool things about essential oils: safe, ethical, really effective, and really, really affordable. And I say that because people say, oh, that one blend, you know, like that's $40 or $50 or whatever, that's quite expensive. And I was like, it's really not, when you know the chemical constraints that are in that and the impact that they can have on your body and what that looks like for you from a health perspective. It's peanuts. You just got to know the right things to use and use them properly. So essential oils are expensive if they stay in their bottle and you're not, like, on the shelf. They're just for decoration, and that's expensive. But if you're actually using them, then you will get benefit, and then you will see that you won't be going to the doctor so regularly. You won't be needing so many other things. You won't be like a woman that I spoke to today said, I feel like I'm giving all my money to the pharmacy, multiple courses of antibiotics, multiple medications that just keep going. You'll find that when you jump into this lifestyle, a lot of that will fall away. You can use them 3 ways: aromatically, topically, and internally. Again, not all essential oils are for internal use, but there certainly are some that are and are very effective that way. I've got pages of testimonies, but I'm talking fast and I'm realizing that I'm certainly running out of time. These are just testimonies that I've had from people. 9-year-old, trouble focusing in class, highly intelligent, but has the classic ants in her pants. Kinetic learner, needs to move her body. So this is just a massive plug for something like In Tune, which is actually a blend specifically for focus. This is an adult blend. It's not diluted. You can certainly use it on children, but I would recommend diluting it or only using a really small amount. You'll find children aren't aware of propaganda or have a different perception to the world than what adults do. They're filtering things differently. So if you put an essential oil under their nose, you'll often see how they feel about it on their face pretty quickly. And they'll tell you, I don't like that, I do like that, which is really helpful from a prescribing perspective. Lavender peace, she's also talked about here on her feet. being able to go to bed on her own, putting her own essential oils on. She uses lemongrass and bergamot. Bergamot is incredible from a mental health perspective as her favorite blends. Again, some more plugs here. Asthma, anxiety, adaptive, we're talking about with Carla there, growing pains, the kids blends, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment. Again, your health is your responsibility. Your child's health is your responsibility. We have choices. You can break the mold, and we get to choose our heart now or later. Also with the cost thing too, like sometimes you're like, oh, I don't have $50 right now. I can't afford $150 for a product that I didn't already have in my home. But you get to choose now or later where the expense will be in your health. You model the standard, and then when you empower yourselves and you improve your own health, then you also empower them. Absorption elimination, I've gone back to the gut as a second brain here because I just wanted to talk about a couple of blends, and then I'm going to close off this evening and do an unrecorded Q&A. So this blend is Digestin, Zengest, and the adult version of Tamer is the blend that I wanted to speak to tonight. It's super beautiful. Use it for anxious feelings, car sickness, nausea, motion sickness, vomiting, diarrhea, abdo pain, constipation. So helpful. My kids even used it right through toilet training and still use it today with anxious tummies or have not been able to, move their bowels correctly. They call it the poo blend. I love it. And it is also, because it's got spearmint, helpful for fevers and naturally reducing fevers. Balance essential oil. So this is grounding when we talked about getting your feet in nature. And if you're still live with me in the chat and you've experienced this blend, it's really popular for a lot of mums. Feel free to say why you love this. I don't know many people who don't love and use this. You can use it as a moisturizer, as a deodorant. You can pop it in a diffuser. You can add it to your moisturizer, put it all over your body. I'm a huge fan of this, this blend. Stronger essential oil. Any guesses why I would be including this after what I've spoke to? It's so much more than just immune support. Protective blend, brave, security. It's for the body. The kids blends have all really, and you can see in the picture there's a body, there's a heart, and there's a brain for the kids blend. So it's really obvious. So this is a body one, but it's also very much a heart and a brain blend. It has rose, cedarwood, some beautiful essential oils in this blend. So you can use it topically. I've seen it work miracles for things like hand, foot, and mouth, for skin concerns, for rashes. Often these kids with dairy intolerances, eczema, scratching themselves, hurting themselves. This is a great blend for skincare as well as immune support. I'd recommend from an immune perspective being able to put it here on their arms, around your thyroid, and your neck here. And so this basic bundle is what I wanted to speak to tonight. I've talked about these 4 blends. They're premium, really specific blends. Tamer, Shinrin-yoku, Stronger, and Balance, that grounding blend. If you choose to purchase this, either if you're an existing customer in the Holistic Wellness Collective, then you will already get your 25% discount, and this bundle will give you free shipping as well. Yay, you'll earn extra points back on this purchase if you're an existing customer. And you will pay the same price, which is $139. I can click on the link, you guys probably can't click on it. Or $154 if you're in New Zealand. This would be my recommended starter if you aren't using essential oils already. This is the other option. And sorry that looks so massive in your face. This is potentially for adults or for older children. These 2 blends being Adaptive, which is the mental wellness blend. I don't have time to speak to all of the ingredients in that. Intune I mentioned already, and wild orange from a detoxification purpose, you can take it internally. I love lemon. Lemon loves your liver from a daily basis, but if you pair wild orange and adaptive together in a diffuser, then that's a really powerful brain blend, and Intune for focus. You will also get the ongoing prices to the shop, and that is $146 for existing or new customers. You might want to start there. I could do massive packs for you guys. I've kept this like low cost as a starter point and really simple deliberately, because I don't want you going home with 10 oils and going, I don't know where to start. I do have some recommended additions, particularly for kids. Adding in fiber is huge, and the doTERRA fiber is great product. Sneak it into smoothies, support the gut in a beautiful way. Copaiba essential oil for adults, I did mention it. I don't know if you picked up on adults being them entering your calm rather than you entering their crazy. If you are nutrient deficient, which if you are not supplementing correctly, you are already well on the back foot with dealing with this stuff. So the long life vitality, which is those three things there, the omegas, which we spoke to about being super helpful for brain health. As an adult, it's easy for us. We can just take them in a capsule like this. The cellular energy complex, because you need so much energy. And the food nutrient complex that covers all of your daily vitamin and mineral and electrolyte kind of, not so many electrolytes, basically food, nutrient, and vitamin and minerals covered for a 24-hour period. doTERRA backed this product so strongly that if you don't get desired results, if you take it the way they recommend it in 30 days, it's 100% money back guarantee. I obviously work as a wellness practitioner. I know a lot of supplements and supplement brands and the costing of things, and this is so well priced. I cannot sing its praises higher. Actually, one of the girls in our community at the moment has a survey that you can do prior to starting, and then once you've taken it for the 60 days to see exactly how you feel. So reach out to us if you want to do that. Toothpaste and mouthwash, because oral health is so important. I didn't mention this with reducing toxins earlier. I knew I would forget. Cleaning spray, lemon. I love adding the lemon actually to the greens. I drink the greens on a regular basis. Good one to sneak in for smoothies for kids if you're wanting to up, your nutrition levels there. So you can do that for the July. Use that in August. The kids bundle, so this is $170 Australian, and this will give you all of them. I was hesitant to put this in here, but I know that some people want to get started with the adaptive and Intune and wild orange, and if you start with that bundle and you have a child that has some neurodiversity going on, then this is such a great place to start, because it's really clear for you and for them. It's really simple, and it's really safe to be using essential oils topically. So your energy affects everything and everyone around you. Your responsibility of how we show up on the world. So what do we do now? Something has to change. For something to change, we want to support you here in this community. We have the Essential Experience up live and running that'll help you learn how to use your essential oils straight away when they arrive in your home. You will also get a wellness consultation, like I mentioned before. We can customize a starter bundle for you, or you can pick one of the ones that I already had on the screen there. Mental health. I've left this in here from a previous session that I'd done just because of the emotional stability, security, rested, calm, safe, free, and feeling loved. So I'm going to stop sharing and stop recording. Let's end that, and we'll go to the questions.